Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We are looking at a truly monumental shift that's happening right beneath our feet as we speak. We're talking about the transition to artificial general intelligence, or AGI, and how it's just radically rewiring our societal structures, our data, and honestly, our entire concept of digital sovereignty. We are moving away from this old era of pure manual creation and stepping into an incredibly powerful new role as sovereign pilots of these highly complex machines. So we're going to unpack exactly how you can protect your digital intellectual property in an age where algorithms are trained to, well, guess rather than actually know.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the macroeconomic shift from risk to uncertainty. Second, we'll explore the wood chipper effect. Third, we're forging the semiotic bridge. And finally, we'll talk about becoming the algorithmic orchestrator.
All right, Section 1, From Risk to Uncertainty, the Macroeconomic Shift.
To really grasp this, we're drawing on some incredible insights directly from Google's economics team regarding the future of AGI. Historically, society has dealt with risk. Risk is basically when you know the possible outcomes and the probabilities, right? You can measure it, you can buy insurance for it, you can manage it. But as AGI integrates into our world, we are moving into a state of uncertainty. Uncertainty is a whole different beast. It's when the very structures and foundations of what's coming are fundamentally unknown. We're moving away from easily managed risks into an era of deep, structural unpredictability where the old frameworks, they just don't apply anymore.
So, what does this actually mean for you and your career? Well, as this insight from the Google economics perspective highlights, roles tend to evolve toward interpretation, communication, and leadership over time. As AI handles more execution, value shifts towards human judgment. You see, as AGI takes over the brute force technical execution, the coding, the rendering, the massive data processing, human value is aggressively shifting. It's shifting away from pure execution and moving toward profound wisdom, discernment, and strategic decision-making. You aren't just pushing buttons anymore. You're required to navigate all this uncertainty with high-level interpretation.
Moving on to Section 2, the wood chipper effect, or the microscopic crisis.
Now, to safely exercise that high-level human judgment we just talked about, we absolutely have to trust the systems we're commanding. We're going to transition down from the macroeconomic clouds right into the bare metal of our computers to discover the microscopic root cause of our modern data crisis. Think about the FPU gambler. This floating-point unit hardware is built for blistering speed, but it achieves that speed by using probabilistic guesswork and lossy approximations. It literally drops decimal points and guesses the math based on secret silicon tables. Now contrast that with the ALU surveyor. The arithmetic logic unit operates on exact mathematical truth and rigid, deterministic logic. 1 + 1 is exactly 2 every single time. It gives you perfect, verifiable receipts.
But here is the truly terrifying reality of our modern AI infrastructure. 80 to 90%. Just let that staggering number sink in for a second. To put that into perspective, out of the billions of calculations happening every single second inside an AI, 80 to 90% of them are handled by that FPU gambler. When massive language models are doing their heavy lifting, they are not calculating exact, concrete mathematical truths. They're fundamentally just guessing the nearest answer using secret, hardware-level approximations.
And relying on that gambler, it causes a catastrophic data crisis known as the wood chipper effect. Let's break this down chronologically. Step 1, the AI ingests exact source data. Maybe it's a copyrighted book or a human artist's lifelong portfolio. Step 2, the FPU hardware encounters that complex data and violently approximates the math using those secret silicon tables just to save time. Step 3, because that math was just a lossy guess, the exact causal chain is permanently destroyed. The data is irreversibly shredded into what is essentially a digital smoothie. You might know what apples and bananas went into the blender, but you can never, ever perfectly reverse engineer that statistical smoothie back to credit the specific human beings whose exhausting labor trained it. It leads to the total liquidation of original human contributors.
Because the machine is just blindly guessing and obviously can't hold any legal liability itself, humans are being turned into what experts call a moral crumple zone. Just like the front of a car is designed to crush on impact to save the cabin, everyday developers and users are kept in the loop of these complex systems specifically to absorb the brutal legal and ethical impact when the AI inevitably hallucinates or steals copyrighted work. So you have to ask yourself, do you really want to serve as a human shield, absorbing liabilities and agentic torts from massive corporate AI models?
Which brings us to Section 3, Forging the Semiotic Bridge and Our Deterministic Defenses.
If your answer to that last question was a hard no, and I really hope it was, then we need some proactive solutions. To escape that automated miasma of the FPU gambler and actually secure our digital intellectual property, we have to build the semiotic bridge. What is this? Well, it's a strict, explicit text translation layer. It acts as this vital script that safely squeezes our boundless, associative, and frankly messy human imagination into a rigid, unhackable structural template. Because computer hardware is completely blind to nuance, this bridge is literally the only way to guarantee that a human pilot's specific intent is exactly what the machine executes. It leaves absolutely zero room for a bad actor or some hallucinating algorithm to manipulate your meaning.
Let's look at the actual tools we use to forge this mathematically undeniable record of sweat. First, we use forensic manual SVG masks, which are basically strict, human-drawn boundaries that the AI just cannot cross. Second, and this one is absolutely crucial, we use CPA metadata labels to actively declare content provenance right at the source. Third, we deploy Polycretes deterministic agents. This is code that locks your data in permanently without any guessing. And finally, we use LIFO ledgers and ERC7827 value version control to maintain a flawless, unhackable blockchain record of every single state transition. Together, these tools drag the machine out of the casino and force it into absolute deterministic reality.
Finally, Section 4, the algorithmic orchestrator, redefining human authorship.
By mastering this deterministic control, we are completely redefining what human authorship even looks like. We're moving away from that old 18th century romantic myth of the originator, the old way that made you responsible for the manual, tedious rendering of every single pixel or line of syntax. The new way transforms you into the algorithmic orchestrator. We surrender the pure brute force technical execution to the machine, letting the AI act as the brush. But, and this is the vital part, we retain 100% of the strategic management and rhetorical control. You're no longer pulling ideas out of a vacuum just to render them by hand. Instead, you're actively commanding the machine while fiercely retaining all of your rhetorical intent.
So it really all boils down to this. When you interact with these incredibly powerful digital systems, are you actively driving the machine, demanding deterministic truth through that semiotic bridge? Or are you just passively accepting its lossy, probabilistic guesses, effectively acting as its moral crumple zone when things inevitably go wrong? You must choose to assert deterministic control.
As we enter this new era of deep uncertainty, the tools to build undeniable, mathematically certain authorship are right there, waiting for you. Now that you know about the hidden hardware traps and the immense power of becoming an algorithmic orchestrator, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. How will you step up as a sovereign pilot and write your future at the speed of thought? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the architecture around you, keep learning, and I will see you next time.